In episode 76 of Greenhorn Gardening, we have an interview with Darla Eaton, co-manager with Southern Exposure Seed Exchange, and for the growing tip, how to pick a good seed company. Yep. Welcome to greenhorngardening.com. I'm Damon, and I'm on a mission to help you grow your own vegetable garden. So definitely go on over to greenhorngardening.com/claim to get your own download on the right way to make and use organic fertilizers. Guys, unbelievable. It has been so wet and so hot that my turnips are bolting. I don't know if I've told you that. I may have mentioned that last week, can't remember, but it's amazing. You know, this has been incredibly wet, incredibly warm, and the turnips just can't handle it, and they're just bolting on out here in the middle of winter. But also, we just got some snow, and it's just not something that doesn't happen all the time down here in Alabama. We got a light snow. Put a video on YouTube with that showing what the turnips were doing, as well as got a little bit of extra footage for the Cover Crops 101 course that I hope will be coming out a little bit later this year. But you know, and so it's just kind of amazing to see that even here in the middle of winter, there's all kinds of things going on in the garden. That the garden really never stops. Checked the compost pile in my trash can compost full of fruit flies, man. I'm just hoping that this snow frees them all up and try to keep that thing turned. That's one of the reasons why I don't like traditional composting. I'd rather just bury the stuff in the garden and be done with it. Let the worms have it. I'm done. It's a little bit easier for me that way, but the trash can compost provides a simple, easy way to deal with kitchen waste without having to worry about trying to dig up the garden and slow down production or whatever. But anyway, it's just kind of neat. Quick update for those of you who are still interested in the 2013 Greenhorn Garden Calendar and Growing Journal. I released that last week. I released it at $11.99, and as of, let me look at the calendar. Yeah, that's right. As of the 19th of January, midnight 19th January, Saturday, that's tomorrow. Some of you guys will be getting this on Saturday, but the price is going to be going up to full price at $13.99. So if you guys are interested in that, and I've talked about that, I know a lot of you expressed issues with, a lot of you wanted to have a way to plant, have the right planting times, you wanted optimum production without wasting a lot of time and energy and money. You wanted a way to plant the right vegetables at the right time so you don't miss your planting windows and having to deal with the loss of produce and things like that, production time. And you want to get a lot out of your growing season without having the disadvantage of having your short growing season as a disadvantage now. And you can do that. And a lot of you wanted to know about when to add organic fertilizers, and I actually put the fertilizer recipe in that and when I do it, and to help with that organic fertilizer lag and all of that. And so if any of that makes sense to you, and a lot of people said that you're just really wanting to stay on the straight and narrow this growing season to really help you avoid those distractions and help you really get, like I say, get things done in at the right time. If you guys are really interested in that, I released it, I think I released it on the 5th at $11.99. That's the 2013 Greenhorn Garden Calendar and Growing Journal, and that will be going up to full price at midnight on Saturday, January 19th, 2013. And the reason why I am putting together some products like that, some training products, over the course of 2013 is because, Greenhorn Gardening does require, a lot of time. It requires bandwidth, it requires storage space, and actually it requires a good bit of processing power. I don't know if any of you have ever had to do much video editing, but, video editing requires a lot of processing power. So, I have to build, I have to have my own computers. Once again, I keep saying I'm going to try to take a picture of my computer to let you guys see it, because it just looks like this piece of Frankenstein thing, but it allows me to build computers quickly and exchange components. If I want to put a new processor in, I don't have to go pulling it out of the case. All I got to do is just unscrew a couple of screws, take the fan off, put the new processor on, bam, we're good to go. And so it's designed to be upgraded quickly, so I can kind of try to keep on top of the technologies and things like that. so I can keep the video editing and whatnot for YouTube, and actually the audio editing here as well, because that requires a good bit of processing power, although the computers are getting much more powerful these days. So, but anyway, all that stuff consumes resources, and I'm just trying to bring in revenue, but I don't want to just be pitching a bunch of products. I actually want to give you guys the kinds of resources that are going to help you grow in your garden, because that's one of the big core values with Greenhorn Gardening, is to grow gardeners. You know, that's a real big thing, and I think sometimes we can put and it just seems that a lot of people want more than just a general book on, you know, gardening. I mean, there's 100 million books on gardening, and it seems to me that what people really want are customized solutions for their situations. And so that's part of what, you know, I committed to doing here at Greenhorn Gardening, was to actually put together content and then premium content to do just that. And so I put together video courses, like the calendar here, that's at a lower price point. I've got some more courses coming out over the course of 2013 to really nail that in, and try to provide those solutions that you guys are wanting, so you can have the garden that you want without having all the pitfalls and all the mistakes that I made going into it. And so that's what that is. So if you guys have any questions on that, contact me via email. That's damon@greenhorngardening.com. You can check me out at Twitter at Greenhorn Damon, or you can go straight on over to YouTube and type in Greenhorn Gardening there. And then, of course, there's the blog, greenhorngardening.com. You can, in fact, a lot of people will just leave a message on one of the blog posts there, and you can get in contact with me that way. Just let me know what you want to know about, what kind of things you'd like to see. And with that, let's jump on into the main subject. And oh yeah, before I forget, let me give you the link to the actual order page for the calendar. That's greenhorngardening.com/calendar 2013. And if you really don't have to remember all that, I'll just put it in the show notes, and that'll be cool. All right. Hey everybody, this is Damon on the line with Darla Eaton from Southern Exposure Seed Exchange. She's a co-manager there, and I got to tell you, one of the things that I hear from you guys a lot is, you know, where do you buy your seeds? Where's a good reputable source to buy seeds and supplies and things like that? And Southern Exposure Seed Exchange was a place that I found a couple of years ago, and that I've been using. And you know, you guys have always seen my stories of all my failed attempts at trying to grow tomatoes, and it wasn't until I got some Neptune tomatoes from SESE there that actually began to have some success. And so a lot of times, you know, good seeds and the right seed for the right conditions and is a great way to start. So Darla, thanks for coming on, and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about Southern Exposure Seed Exchange, you know, what it is, what you guys do, and that kind of thing.
Well, Southern Exposure Seed Exchange actually started back in 1982 by a fellow named Jeff McCormick. So he was on the original board of directors for Seed Exchange in Iowa. And he thought that one thing that they lacked was a catalog, a retail catalog that any person could pick up and order heirlooms out of. So he was right here from the Central Virginia area. So a lot of the heirlooms that he collected were of this region, adapted specifically to this region. So those were open pollinated, and some heirloom, and of course, open pollinated varieties go hand in hand with organic agriculture. So a big part of the original mission was to promote sustainable and organic gardening practices.
Okay.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So we actually purchased the company back in 1999. So Jeff McCormick here ran it for that entire time. We have an intentional community here, Acorn Community Farm, and it was a community that was looking for a cottage industry, and for the time being working just odd jobs around the area. And one of those odd jobs happened to be at Southern Exposure Seed Exchange. So Jeff was talking about wanting to sell it because he wasn't so interested in running a business. He just wanted the world to have a catalog of heirlooms. And so we purchased it back then, and we've had it since then.
Okay, great. Wow, that does sound. See, so you guys are not just some brand new thing. You guys have been around the block a while.
Yeah. First catalog came out in 1983.
Yeah, that's something else to know. And okay, if you wouldn't mind, help us. I know some of my people, they may not necessarily know the difference between heirloom or open pollinated and all that kind of thing.
Okay, yeah, sure. So open pollinated is an umbrella term encompassing heirlooms. It basically means that the seed is not crossed by hand. The parents of that one seed are not crossed, and that it basically breeds the same stable genetic pool that looks like its predecessor, as opposed to sort of wildly changing, which is a hybrid, which I guess we should talk about as well. So open pollinated is just insect or self or cross-pollinating varieties. And so year after year you can save the same seed, and it's going to have a staple gene, so you're going to know what you're getting. They're also adapted to regions because they have seed savers for generations and generations have been saving the same seed and selecting for the ones that do best in the climate. So you're going to adjusting to your own microclimate, your particular soil fertility and pH and such. So you start to see varieties in open pollinated that are disease resistant, fungus resistant, bacteria resistant to bacteria, resistant to pests, drought tolerant, etc. All these different characteristics that you can select for when you're seed saving. So that's open pollinated. Heirloom means that it's been around for around 50 years or more, and it's also open pollinated by definition. So.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's good to know. So now, undoubtedly, a lot of people have heard in the news all this stuff about GMO and all these, Chernobyl mutant plants or something. And could you help us to understand that as well?
Yes. GMOs, genetically modified organisms, basically means that the DNA of different species and even in different families, even taking characteristics of, say, animals or bacteria and crossing them with plants in a lab. And that's also a way to select for certain traits. So it sounds like it could be potentially it could be a positive thing, but it just so happens to be owned in the hands of Monsanto, a giant seed and chemical agro business. So Monsanto pretty much has control over all of these genetically modified crops and makes a huge amount of money off it, and actually has property rights. This is kind of crazy, not property rights, but a patent to the genetically modified organism that they specifically created. So anyone caught saving those seeds can potentially be in danger of being sued. So this has happened many times already. Monsanto will sue small farmers for the genetic pollution of their crops. So, of course, we're pretty upset about that. Also, a lot of their seeds are specifically Roundup ready, so highly chemical, very high embodied energy methods of agriculture that they're promoting, and basically under the guise of saving the world by providing enough food, which many studies have debunked thoroughly.
Right. So, the birds and the bees and the wind and they're just gonna do what they do, right? They don't know the difference between, your, grandma's, super awesome corn, that she grew way back when, and then this new genetically modified thing. I mean, the bees and all that, they're just gonna do what they do, right?
Absolutely, yes. And some scientists, mostly paid by Monsanto, to put out highly censored research out to the public as the truth, Um, whew. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so they even say that, say, genetic pollution in corn could only travel to a maximum of, say, 10 miles, is what the researchers say. But studies have shown contamination of these different varieties that were open pollinated being contaminated way farther away from the 10 mile, more like 100 miles from the nearest genetically modified crop. So who knows, it's been studied very little and is basically solely concerned with profit.
Well, so hey, let's talk about something else. Okay. Oh man, oh boy, I tell you, it's crazy world, but so and with that, I mean, obviously with the whole GMO thing, I mean, you guys cater to gardeners, and I'd imagine to also kind of small scale farmers and things like that.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so tell me, in what ways do you actually help gardeners and small scale farmers with in their efforts?
Yeah, so many of the heirloom and open pollinated varieties that we cover, and we have over 700 varieties, are adapted to the region here and are nearly unavailable in other places, almost unavailable. Only a few other seed companies are essentially keeping these varieties alive and keeping them open to the public. So we help people access these sort of rare and endangered heirloom and open pollinated varieties. So we help them access that. We give all customers, and actually anyone who calls, gardening advice, and we have expert gardeners here who have gardened decades. So we have a lot of information that we are happy to share with people. And along those notes, we try to research our varieties fairly well and regularly to maintain the quality. So we're also providing a high quality, sustainably grown heirloom that is predisposed to be grown sustainably without the need for lots of amendments such as fossil fuel, synthesized fertilizer, and stuff like that.
Okay, so basically they're going to get seeds that more or less, like you say, you can't really find, you can hardly find, and it's going to actually save you some money in the process of growing them throughout the years that you'll be using them.
Yeah, and we encourage all gardeners to save their own seeds. We like to say that we're working hard to put ourselves out of business.
Yeah.
Because everywhere we go, we teach people and encourage people to save their own seeds.
Right.
And that's sort of because our mission is to preserve this genetic diversity and heritage. And since it's a vanishing thing, we think the safest place for an heirloom that's endangered is in everyone's backyard. In your backyard is what we say.
Right, yeah. I mean, really.
Yeah. So sort of democratizing the seed supply is a big goal of ours, and I've already talked a little bit about promoting sustainable and organic agriculture. And we write about that kind of thing. Ira Wallace, a longtime huge forest and southern exposure, actually has a blog that she wrote in every week or so, all about different tips of different organic gardening here in the Southeast, which is kind of a niche that hasn't been filled up until recently.
Yeah, it's true. If you wouldn't mind, I guess if you wouldn't mind, when we get done, shoot me an email for a blog. If I'm sorry, can I ask you something? Is that a guy's name or a girl's name?
What?
Ira.
Ira, it's a girl's name.
Okay.
Woman's name.
Yeah, because I know there was the Ira is the one of the famous songwriters, Ira Gershwin, and
yeah.
He was a guy, so it was like, okay. So we got that figured out. Okay, great. I want to ask you something else. I would, one of the things I've been wanting to do is to put on a a giant pumpkin thing for what I'm doing here, and I'm not trying to, I'm just asking, do you guys actually sell giant pumpkin seeds? You know what I mean? That like the
Yeah, we
ones that
have
really?
pumpkins. Totally.
Okay, cool. I'll have to look into that because, yeah. Okay, great. So, could you explain a little bit about how the actual? I mean, you said you guys have the farm there. I mean, is everything that you guys have there grown on the farm, or is it more of a cottage industry where you have a whole bunch of growers kind of all around, or is it a little bit of everything? How does that work?
Yeah, we definitely have a large network of small organic farmers. Most of them are within our region here in the Mid-Atlantic and Southeastern area, but we do have growers from all parts of the country. So our seed stock is particularly, as I mentioned earlier, adapted to, we specialize primarily in varieties that are adapted to the Southeast and the Mid-Atlantic, but that mostly means that it's disease resistant because it's so hot and humid here, and that it is drought resistant because some places are very dry. So they actually still do good in other areas as long as they're selected carefully for the appropriate climate and length of maturation for each variety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that was I was saying about tomatoes early on, and that's exactly what I was doing before. Was I was just planting something that really just wasn't a good fit for my area, but yet when I got basically got the right seed for the area because it can be hot and dry in the summer, but in the spring can be wet and things like that.
Yeah.
And the thing is that you guys had something exactly that I needed for my area, and that was really awesome. I never had actually tomatoes that were that red, and it was just nice.
Yeah. Nothing like growing your own tomatoes, that's for sure. I can't even eat the store-bought ones anymore.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
To answer your question about a little bit more about how it works. So yes, the Southern Exposure Seed Exchange is primarily run by Acorn Community, as I mentioned earlier. So Acorn Community is a income-sharing, feminist, nonviolent, anarchist community. So it's quite an interesting operation that we have, since we are non-hierarchical, and we basically have a strong mission of sort of freedom and also of mutual support. The business is run very differently than your average business. So instead of people having titles, community members just figure out what needs to happen, and people volunteer for those tasks, and then just sort of start stewarding them. So we're always discussing, and reevaluating what needs to be covered, and then orienting people to do those things. But yeah, there's no bosses, there's no managers or anything like that. Everyone's on the same playing field, I guess you could say. So there are some challenges that go along with that, certainly. It can be a little hectic, a little disorganized, but incredibly it works, and we seem to be able to handle a higher volume of sales these days with the same amount of people. So to me, it looks like we're getting organized and learning from experiences. And we're also fully income sharing, so the community just decides collectively by consensus decision making how to spend all the money that's generated. So, for example, we're building a new an office building for Southern Exposure Seed Exchange. We've been in the design and build phase for about 2 years now, a little bit over. So that's all the money that we're earning as a company is going towards sustainable agriculture, actually, or sustainable architecture, excuse me, for its infrastructure. Yeah, so it's very interesting. No one's working for a wage. No one's making any more than anyone else. We all just get everything done and then share all the profits.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that definitely does sound interesting. And let's see. So you guys sell. You've got vegetable seeds. You've got I know you got herbs. You got flowers. I mean, could you give us kind of a rundown of what kind of offerings that you have?
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier that we have over 700 varieties. and I sort of touched on how our specialty is in organic, heirloom, or at least open-pollinated varieties specifically adapted to this southeastern region and mid-Atlantic region. So some of the varieties or some of the seeds that we carry include garden vegetables, perennial garlic, leeks, garden medicinals, flowers, medicinal herbs, and culinary herbs, seed potatoes, and sweet potato splits we just started carrying recently. And let's see what else. I think that might be it.
Yeah. Can I ask you one more thing? I noticed. I remember when I bought my elephant garlic a couple of years ago. I had never grown any kind of garlic whatsoever, but there was this really nice the cultural notes, and I remember one, it was on the website, but two, you guys shipped it out with the garlic. Could you tell me a little bit about how you guys put those together, or I mean, that's just something that you guys put together over time? Because it seems like every category you've got a really nice, really well detailed plan for exactly how to grow each one of these things that you're selling.
Yeah, we've definitely it's been a work in progress for a long time. Pretty much since we got the business, we started doing research and collecting information on the varieties that we carry and what works good and what doesn't, and sort of also talking to other farmers and seed growers about what worked for them and what didn't, and sort of collecting that information, organizing it, making it available to the public. Yeah, it's been a huge project. And then we'll go back every few years, or hopefully every year if we're on it, and update it based on new finds and such. So yeah, it is definitely a process, but we don't want you to just buy our seeds and have them fail. We want you to keep this genetic diversity and heritage alive. So democratizing the seed supply is a big thing of ours.
Yeah. And I tell you what, this has been awesome. We've gone about 20 minutes now, and this has been a great talk. And I think a lot of my people really are, like I say, they're really wanting a place to buy seeds, and they just want to kind of understand how that works. And I think you've given us a lot of information that we can use. And I tell you what, thanks a lot for taking the time to do this. I keep saying that, but I really do appreciate it. And thanks a bunch.
No problem. Thank you for doing this.
All right.
Love your show.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so here we are with the growing tip. Hope you like the interview. Let me know what you think. But one of the things, and there's a lot of seed companies out there, and we heard from Darla, one of the things that I really look for in a seed company is why are they doing what they're doing? And as far as the gardening goes, the aspect of it, they really are committed to really helping grow gardeners. And that's a big thing with me, and that's one thing that I look for, particularly companies that focus on either gardeners or small-scale farmers. That's the first thing I do. If they're gardeners, or maybe market gardeners, which are essentially market gardeners and small-scale farmers, are it's just about synonymous. These are people who they particularly cater to the open. I prefer the open pollinated seeds, but I'm not opposed to hybrids at all. Hybrids are okay. It's just that you got to keep going back every year to the same people because those hybrids were perhaps hand pollinated, crossed, and but the open pollinated, it's almost like open source seeds, and you can save those seeds over and over again. So if you're really interested in saving seeds, which I am, I always try to concentrate on purchasing from companies that specialize in open pollinated seeds. Another thing that she was saying, look for a seed company that caters to your area. Like Southern Exposure Seed Exchange really caters to the mid-Atlantic and southeastern United States region. That's very important for me, because when you buy seeds from someone where the seeds have been adapted to your region, it's a whole lot easier to have success, as opposed to you hear me talk about Johnny's Selected Seeds, and I love Johnny's, but they are really way up north, and it'd probably be better if those of you guys who are in New England, it would probably be much better for you to buy from Johnny's than probably from Southern Exposure. Or if you're way out west, it's probably better to buy from the John Jevons program over there, the Bountiful Gardens, since you're way out west, than it would be from, say, Johnny's. It's a whole different part of the country, different climate, different microclimate, and then the varieties themselves adapt, as she was saying. So preferably, a company that deals with your particular region, whether it be the out west or the Midwest or the extreme north or the mid-Atlantic or whatever have you, or the desert Southwest or wherever you are. Okay. And so also too is the other thing. It's just like she was saying, the information. What kind of information do they provide for you? In cultivating the things. Are they in the process of actually educating their customers to getting the most out of their products and things like that? And that's a big thing with me. And definitely I find that Southern Exposure is great on that, as well as Bountiful Gardens out west, out in Willits, California, with their little farm there. And so there you have it. So those are the ways that I find look for a good seed company. One, look at why they're doing it. As far as the agricultural philosophies and things like that, or why they're doing it. Also look at what is their main audience. Are they targeting small scale farmers or market gardeners or everyday gardeners or whatnot? Are they, what are they doing what are they doing to actually educate the people to become better gardeners? And so those are kind of the three things that I kind of look for the seed company. And if you guys stumble across some seed companies that you like, shoot me a message. And if you guys find some more interviews, if you guys find some people that you might like to hear interviewed on the show, shoot me a message and we can see if we can't work something out. And with that, I will see you guys later. If you want to supercharge your garden's growth, get your organic fertilizer recipe download at greenhorngardening.com/claim. That's it for this time. See you guys later. Growing big.